On the Radio is brought to you by Zurich Insurance, the perfect place to catch up with all things Melbourne. If you enjoy this content and want more inside access from the team, make sure you visit the club website.
What a night last night for the Demons, and a 21-year grand final drought. They haven't won a flag since 64, the longest drought in the game, and it feels like they have never been better placed. The first team through to the grand final, and Harrison Petty, who was sensational last night with a big job on Tom Hawkins, joins us on ABC Radio across the state of Western Australia here on Sports Talk. Harry, appreciate your time and congratulations.
No worries, fellas. Thanks for having me.
How do you put it all into words?
Oh, yeah, it's pretty hard to, really. Suppose it's really sinking in. I got no words.
This will be your 30th game of footy, and it's coming in a grand final. You obviously came in as cover for Adam Tomlinson earlier in the year. What do you put it down to, your own performance in, not only being able to win a spot in the side, but then be able to hold it down?
With Tomo going down, I was playing pretty good footy in the VFL at the start of the year. So when he went down, I feel like I was ready to come in and play a role for the team. And then when you got the likes of Stephen May and Jake Lever back there, it's pretty easy to play a role when they're setting up behind you, telling you where to go and what to do. So, yeah.
Harry, it's Mick Mullis. Congratulations, mate. You've just been outstanding. You're the if I can say, the silent one to the back line. The accolades seem to go to May and Lever and Salem and this sort of stuff. You just do your job so well. Can you give the listeners just a little bit of a history of where you come from, the early games you've played, and your expectations this year before you've sort of hit the big time?
So I'm a country boy from Woodner, in country SA. Just grew up there about 6 hours from Adelaide, and then went to boarding school in Adelaide. So, it's been a bit of a different journey to most of the others, but I wouldn't change it. My role for the team is sort of to shut down the second key forward. Maisie normally goes to the most dominant forward. So I just try and slave away at that and help Maisie and Jake and all the Christian Salem and all the other back lines where I can. What
about last night? How did you feel? I know you're not overawed because I can just tell by your disposition, and particularly coming from a little country town. How many people live in that country town before we move on? How many's?
There's about 500, I reckon.
500, right. And what comps did you play in before you went to boarding school?
At boarding school, I was just playing in the school comp, and then my sample club was Norwood, so
right.
I got a few games of them too.
Yeah. So just getting back to last night, when May went down and you went on to Hawkins, the first thing that went through my mind is that he is so strong and he'll get you under the football. Did you start to think about how you're going to play him? Yeah.
So all during the week, we were talking about different ways we'd play on different players, and Tom Hawkins, he's a very crafty player and strong, so you sort of don't want to get in a wrestle with him. I was just trying to stand front shoulder on him, and then probably if the kick drops short, I'll beat him to the ball. But if it goes long over my head, I'm sort of just holding down and kind of hoping that May and Lever and that would come over and help me.
Just on a couple of tactics last night, I noticed when there was a long ball going in, it just seemed as if Max Gawn was going across to Hawkins and May was then filling in the gap, which really did leave Stanley open. Was that a tactic at all? Because May sort of drop off Hawkins pretty quickly for Gawn to get there.
Yeah, so we sort of don't want to lose our depth as a defensive group. Geelong get really high up the field. So, we try and keep our depth that slows them down and gives them, I suppose, causes delay for small forwards like Cozzy Pickett, Alex Newbill and Charlie Spargo to try and lay some forward 50 pressure and get some tackles up there.
But down the other end, though, it just seems that first goal or the second goal at Geelong kick from Stanley seemed to come that he was by himself basically because Max Gawn walked across and picked up Hawkins. So there was no tactical thing in there that just happened in the state of play?
Yeah, I reckon that must have just happened. I think Jake Lever got caught up the ground there, so we were one tool short. That happens sometimes in a game.
Yeah, of course it does. Well done anyway, mate.
Harry,
Thanks, mate.
Mark Duffield here. Thanks for joining us on the show today. You're out of quarantine now, correct?
Yep, correct. Yep.
So what sort of movements are you and aren't you allowed? Are you allowed to move absolutely freely, or are there still certain conditions put on you in terms of what you can and can't do?
No, we're pretty much allowed to be a normal citizen. We got told last night that we're not allowed to go to any crowd anywhere where a crowd's bigger than 1,000 or something. So I suppose we'll just be living normal life like we would in Melbourne, going to cafes, having a coffee here and there. So, yeah.
It sounds like they're optimistic about Stephen May playing in the grand final, but just to play worst case scenario, if Stephen May wasn't to play, who would be ready to step into that role, do you think?
We got Joel Smith there. He hurt his hamstring at training last week, but he's been tracking really well through the end of this week. So, given we got a couple of weeks until the game, I assume he'll be ready to fill that role.
And we talked about, obviously, because of the no premierships 1964, the last time you were out on Perth Stadium in a preliminary final in 2018, West Coast absolutely belted Melbourne. How did you deal with the weight of history? Because you just look so sure and you look like you ooze so much belief. At what point do you think this team really started to believe in itself?
I suppose we sat down at the start of pre-season this year and got everything off our chests and everything we need to work on. But, yeah, we've had that belief all year. It sort of shows by the way we've been playing. Yeah.
Can you elaborate on got everything off our chest? Like, were there skeletons in the cupboard you had to get rid of or mental demons you had to overcome?
Yeah, I suppose the boys just expressed their feelings. There are a couple of things we needed to fix up at the club. I suppose it was just a good time to talk what everyone was feeling.
You look like you've got great buy-in at the moment. Like everyone's on the same page, everyone's adhering to the same plan. That must be a great feeling heading into a grand final. Yeah,
definitely. I think our game plan took a couple of years to get going, but now we've had a really strong year, and everyone sort of knows their role in the team, and that's all we ask for every player is just to perform their role to a high level, and hopefully everything will go smoothly from there.
Harry, our understanding is Nathan Jones has left the group and headed home. Did he speak to the group this morning or last night before making that decision?
Oh no, I haven't heard anything about that. I was with him last night having dinner, talking to him and everything, and I haven't heard anything about that.
Yep. So he's still with the team. Is that your understanding?
Yeah, that's my understanding. Yep.
Oh, well, that clears all of that up then. Have you ever been to a grand final previously?
Yeah, I've been to a couple. I watched a couple. They're pretty exciting.
Yeah. Who'd you grow up supporting?
I was a Carlton fan. I was a big Chris Judd fan, so I grew up supporting them.
Harry, what was it like? What was the atmosphere like? It felt very much like it was a Melbourne crowd. In fact, after the third quarter, it felt like it was a Max Gawn crowd.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. They got the Gawny chants going around the stadium. They were unbelievable. I suppose it was just good to be playing in front of a packed house again, and predominantly Melbourne fans. So it was just good to get a win for all them.
Harry, exciting times. Congratulations on your year and through to a grand final in your 30th game of footy at 21 years of age. It's a feel-good story among many in the Melbourne team at the moment. Appreciate your time on Sports Talk today.
No worries, fellas. Thanks for having me.